Welcome to this second training material of the Erasmus Plus project EUthmappers, open and collaborative mapping for pupils-led projects in secondary schools through innovating teaching methodology and fostering STEAM education and environmental engagement. This training material has been prepared by faculty from the Institute for Educational Science from Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. This video will provide you with practical guidance to develop a mid-term assessment of the pupil-led local mapping projects carried out by a school. We'll first start recalling the aim of the pupil-led local mapping projects proposed in EUthmappers project, which is to contribute to increase the interest of secondary schools pupils in STEM matters and to enhance their digital skills and their environmental and civic engagement by introducing them to the use of open-source geospatial data tools, finalized at the development of open, collaborative, and inclusive mapping projects based on OpenStreetMap platform. In the first training video, we talked about how to plan and design in advance the challenges to start working with spatial data in schools. In this training video, we would like to share some ideas on how to develop a mid-term assessment of the state of the challenges as to celebrate the learnings and correct possible deviations on the focus. We will propose 3 stages to do this assessment. Ideally, you will do it with the group of teachers involved in the challenge and maybe also with some students. Let's move to see each stage in detail. Stage 1 aims at reflecting on the current state of the projects and to focus on the following stages. Here you can see a template that can help the group of involved teachers to reflect on the project status. You will start having a look back to what was already done with the students. Then you will reflect on the activities that are now being done. In the current challenges circles, you might write down the current situations you are facing to be able to continue with the project. For example, an activity might be facing delays because the City Hall is not able to find time to meet with the students. In the obstacles that are represented with the mountains, you might reflect on the general situations that hinder the development of the project. For example, being unable to find different school times for students to go outside and map. Then you will move to the next steps part, in which you will write down your plans to continue with the project. The last part of the template will be filled after you see the next 3 slides with tips. The idea is that you come back to this template after reflecting on some tips and to choose the ones that fit your project best. Ideally, you should write down 1 tip related with the final product that will be done by students as a consequence of the project. Another tip that has to do with the kind of dissemination you plan to do. And finally, a 3rd tip that will be related with possible evaluation activities to carry out with the students. The first group of tips has to do with the final products that the students will produce. Final products are key in the project or challenge-based learning, regardless of having or not a service learning approach. We have classified them in 3 groups: multimedia products, writing products, and handcrafted products. In the first group, some ideas are to produce websites, wikis, blogs, videos, etc. Writing products may include to produce a guided tour, a book, a comic, an infographic, etc. While some ideas for handcrafted products could be board games, a geocaching game, a photographic exhibition, etc. The product will help students presenting their results and synthesizing their ideas. In terms of their assessment, it will be taken into account. But remember that in project-based learning, it is important to assess the process and not only the product, so students receive regular feedback and can improve their proposals. We will come back to assessment in the following slides. You might want to stop the video now to have a look to the ideas for different kinds of products. We will now give you some tips to think of dissemination events or initiatives where students can present their work to a broader audience than the class. You can think of different levels of dissemination. It can be the school level, or the neighborhood, or maybe the city, or even the three of them. Once you have delimited your dissemination scope, you can relate it with the products that students have to prepare. At a school level, you can think of presenting the product in the website or calling the families to come for an special event. If the scope also includes a neighborhood, then you can call the local associations and other schools, or maybe the closest university for an event. And finally, if you want to connect the students with the district or the city hall, you may want to prepare a product to send them, or to present it orally to them, or even inviting them to come to your school. A third group of tips is related with evaluation, as we already said before. Evaluation is key in any action with students, so it is key to plan it in advance and gather multiple evidence. These two questions may help to assess your evaluation model. Think of what learning outcomes you want to assess. A first evidence of learning can be the maps that they are producing. You will be able to track who is adding information, the quality of this information, and even the notes you may ask them to write down on the reflections around the mapping. Then think of the rest of evidences that you will check to assess their work during the process. This can include the final products, but maybe also other assignments. Regarding the second question, how to assess the evidences, you will need to think of the real and tangible tools used by the person evaluating to systemize their evaluations on different aspects: checklists, teacher's journal, rubric, rating scale. You will also need to think of strategies used by the evaluator to systematically collect information about the object evaluated, such as observations, interviews, document and artifacts analysis, for example. We will move now to Stage 2. Stage 2 aims at reflecting on the skills that are being developed by the students with the project. This figure shows the main skills that EUthmappers project wants to enhance. The skills are management, communication, data literacy, environmental and civic competence, STEM, collaborative work, technological and digital competence, and cooperation. You can stop the video to read carefully the skills description. This mid-term assessment is a good moment to reflect on if the project is promoting the development of these skills in their students through the activities carried out. So, step 1 would be to reflect on them. We now move to step 2. You will check the current level of acquisition of each skill by the participants. Mark or use stickers on your student's competency level ranging from 1 to 4. Look at the legend in the left side to understand the 4 levels. For example, we mark a level 1 in communication and cooperation because we haven't worked in any dissemination activity yet. Then Level 2 in Data Literacy, Technological and Digital Competence, and STEM, because we're starting to use the collected data to do some analysis. Level 3 in Environmental and Civic Competence, because we have worked initially on understanding the environment and social challenge, and we keep it as our focus. And finally, Level 4 in Collaborative Work and Management, because we are working under a challenge-based scheme and we are working in teams with common plan and tasks. Now that you have assessed the development of the competencies, we will give you some tips for each of them, so you can check the ones that you have worked less until this point of the project. Management. Try assigning roles in each work group. Make the students set their group objectives and design a project plan using a stage planner. Communication. It is important that they develop ideas using, for example, the brainstorming technique, and also that they practice communication in class through oral presentations and written exercises in order to give them feedback to improve their oral and written communication skills. Data literacy. It can be developed through the use of case studies or exercises with real data, because they will see how to take the data, analyze it, interpret it, etc. Environmental and civic competence. Again, providing the students with real-world situations, especially those connected to their close surrounding, and involve them in analyzing data, interpreting it, and reflecting on the causes and consequences of any issue will help them develop critical thinking around this competence. STEM. The same idea lies behind this tip. Try to connect scientific concepts between subjects and relate them to real life in your context. This will make the students understand and connect the information to their interest, influence areas, and so as to involve their motivation towards the subjects. Collaborative work. We suggest to promote teamwork with activities to work on decision-making, negotiation, leadership, etc. Technological and digital. Probably you will be working with technological and digital tools if your project involves collaborative mapping. So the use of mobile applications to carry out mapping is advisable, as explained in the manual, to go beyond the use of paper maps. Apart from the specific technology, other technological and digital challenges may be posed to design a website, for example a blog, to program a device, etc. Cooperation. This competence may be developed by fostering relationships outside the school. Service learning approach will help this competence, as the project includes from the beginning relationships with stakeholders outside the school community, such as neighborhood associations, public institutions, elder centers, etc. We will end this midterm assessment with Stage 3. Stage 3 aims at reflecting on the way already walked through the mapping projects and the future steps. This template facilitates to carry out a global and positive reflection using what is called the hero's journey, which is the outline that can be used to design the script of a movie or a book. Start by thinking about what called you initially to action, the driving force of the MAP project, what you wanted to solve, address, work, contribute with your students through the project. The second step is to think about the obstacles you've found and you have had to overcome so far. The third step is to dream about what the project could achieve. What would your environment be like if your students achieved the project's objective? And finally, in the center of the template, you would have to express through an image the dream of what the students and you, the teachers, have dreamed of achieving. For example, that city parks have better shades. Choose an image and paste it here. With these 3 stages, you will be able to assess the state of the project in an organized way. Some of the ideas will also be useful to assess the project in the end of the project's period. We hope that with these tips you can have some guidance to assess the development of pupil-led local mapping projects in your school.